A really strange thing happens to you when you become a father, which is that you just sort of drift into the background of your family, and you become wallpaper. There's 4 members of my family, and I'm in 4th place. Growing up, my dad would always say, I'm the LVP of our family. And I'd say, no, you're not. You're just a fucking drama queen. But now that I'm a dad, I so get it. I so get it. My wife's happiness, my boy's happiness, it genuinely matters more to me than my own. As a father, your job is to pay for everything and shut the fuck up about it. But it really dings your psyche to go from first place to last so quickly. It really messes with your head, and that's why all of our dads were so fucking weird. Everyone in this room's dad was so weird. Growing up, my dad would get up every morning at 4 a.m. and take a bath. That's weird. That's really weird. But now that I'm a father, I've never understood anything so much in my entire life. I'm like, Dad, yes, get your fucking bath time, dude. Because you know what never asked for a piece of bread with peanut butter on it, and then when you gave it to them, said that they didn't like peanut butter or bread? The sunrise never did that, and neither did that fucking bath. Here's my thing. Here's how I've changed. Now that I'm a father, I can't talk to waiters fast enough. I just want a dialogue with every waiter. I want to see and be seen by waiters. And I was never rude before, but it was perfunctory. I was just trying to get the food or whatever. But now, I just want to talk. That's how lonely I am. Like if I clean my plate, you know what I mean? Like I enjoyed the meal or whatever, and the waiter comes to retrieve it, I'm the guy now who's just like, guess I didn't like that at all. Like, what the fuck happened to me? I used to be kind of cool. Here's my move. Here's my opening line with waiters. Here's what I do. I'll say, hey, what's good to eat here? Yeah, I put the ball on their court. Hey, what do you like to eat here? What a culinary trust fall that is. You know, it's a thrill ride. Because you have to eat whatever they suggest after asking them. What kind of fucking maniac asks the waiter what's good to eat here and then summarily rejects whatever they say? Hey man, what's good to eat at this restaurant? What do you like? Oh my God, out of all the restaurants I've ever worked at, the chef does the best fish and chips I've ever had in my entire life. Oh really? I'll get the BLT, you fucking idiot. We're landlocked, Kenny. What is the chef, a wizard with frozen cod? Suck my dick. The fuck out of here. But here's the thing, you don't even have to be at a sit-down restaurant to pull that move. You can pull it anywhere if you're lonely enough. The other day, I was at a Jimmy John's. I broke it out. At the kid working, I go, hey man, what's good at this Jimmy John's? Hey dude, what do you like at this Jimmy John's? He thought about it for a second, he was like, the chips. He couldn't think of a single sandwich he was willing to get behind. But he was all in on the chips, and everyone in this room knows he's fucking right. Those chips are delicious. They're crunchy, they're not too greasy, there's a lot of them. One bag of Jimmy John's chips is almost enough to make you forget about that photo of the CEO shooting an elephant. Jimmy John's, where the secret ingredient is ivory. I'll do it again. Jimmy John's, where the secret ingredient is ivory. That's the teaser. That's the teaser. I could feel it. Chop it up. Send it to Netflix. They'll be like, no thanks. That desire to to be seen and recognized as a father. I don't think it gets better with time. I think just the opposite, it only gets worse. Because I was recently at an ice cream shop with my son, and we walked in, and the only other customers in the shop were some grandparents who had a grandchild about my son's age, and the kid working the register. And they were in line in front of us, and the little boy in line in front of us had to go to the bathroom, and the grandmother took him to the bathroom, leaving the grandfather alone, and it was this dude's time to shine. And he looked to make sure that the door had shut. And we waited till it closed, and then he just leaned in, and he goes, you know, I used to work at an ice cream shop, too. Yeah, Rhode Island, 1969. And the girl looked at him like, I'm 15 and don't understand what's happening right now. And he goes, let me ask you something. My grandson, he's gonna spill all down the front of his shirt and make a goddamn mess. You guys got a bib back there I could put on him, maybe try to salvage the situation a little bit? She's like, bibs? No, we don't have bibs. I could give you 100 and possibly thin napkins. And he was like, don't have any bibs? Don't have any bibs? Okay, all right. How about this? Do you have one of the necklaces with the 2 clips on either end that you could clip around a to-go cup and I could sort of rig around his neck like a horse with a feeding bag type scenario? And me and the girl looked at each other like, what fucking ice cream shop did you work at that these were ever options at all? And then the grandma came out and he was like, oh, gotta go. And he like ran back to the shadow that he exists in. And I so wish that grandma had not emerged in that moment so I could have seen how batshit this was about to get. It's like, you don't have the horse feeding bag thing either? Okay, all right. How about this? You got one of them mesh sacks you can put 5 to 7 to-go pints into and then string around your torso like a bandolier from the Spanish-American War? You don't have that either? Huh. All right, how about some sprinkles in the shape of various U.S. Navy ships? We'll just be on our way. No? Well, then just have the kid come out from the back, sing as Jeremiah was a bullfrog, and we'll fucking go. I thought this was an ice cream shop. And that's when I realized there's no fucking way this guy ever worked at an ice cream shop. He's just a weird old man who wants to talk to anybody. I could follow this dude around for days, and he would pull the same sad grift everywhere he went. I could see him the next day at a coffee shop. He just leans in. He's like, I used to work at a coffee shop too. Yeah, New Hampshire, 77. And back then, they didn't call us fancy baristas neither. We were the Cup of Joe boys, and we didn't take any shit. And let me ask you a question. You still do the promotion where if the customer rips off their shirt and you pour a scalding hot pot of coffee on their chest and they don't cry out in pain, it's free? Because I accept. You know, I used to be an astronaut too. Yeah, International Space Station, 88. And let me tell you something, wasn't all kumbaya neither back then. If you saw a Ruski coming down the hallway, you ripped his helmet off and you shoved him out the exit hatch so his head would explode, because he'd do it to you if you had half the chance. January 6th. He's at the Capitol. You know, I tried to overthrow the government once too. Yeah, Oregon, 91. And back then we weren't taking selfies at Nancy Pelosi's desk. We were writing manifestos and we were blowing up post offices. Now let's hang Mike Pence. You guys call your grandpas. If you're not talking to them, Fox News is, and it's getting pretty weird. It's getting pretty weird. The best part of my day, my favorite part of every day, is bath time. It's Dad's responsibility. I take it very seriously. We use the bathtub in our bedroom, and I put the boys on the bed. I go to our bathtub, I turn it on, strip off one layer of clothing, check the temperature, take the undies off, get the diapers off, go back, check the temperature one more time. The second I've turned my back on my 2 naked sons, I turn back around, and the 3-year-old is desperately scrambling to get his nuts on the 1-year-old's forehead. And his little golem legs are scrambling. He's like, must find proper nut on forehead position. Which is crazy. I've never taught them about teabagging. He doesn't know how the internet works. He's done no independent research whatsoever. Yet somehow, instinctually, he's like, must assert dominance over smallest tribe member. Through nuts firmly on forehead. I am superior. And I hate it. I hate it so much. So the other day I was like, you better cut that out. And my son goes, why? And the only thing I could think to say was, it's because you might have to borrow money from him someday. And my son goes, I thought you pay for everything. And I go, I do. But that's not always going to be the case. And he goes, why? Do you get poor because people stop laughing at your jokes? I was like, that's not what I was insinuating at all. But I mean, yeah, that is always kind of the fear, isn't it? People stop finding me funny, the whole gig's up, I can't afford for this lifestyle at all anymore. And he goes, why would people stop laughing at your jokes? And I go, I don't know. And he goes, do you think it's because they became a fan of you when you were one thing and then you just sort of morphed into this dad comedian? They didn't really sign on for that shit? I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. Nail on the goddamn head, yes. I never wanted to be one of these kids say the darndest thing comedians, but ever since I had you and your brother, it's like the only jokes I can write are about you too. And he's like, write what you know, right, Dad? And I'm like, fucking A, write what you know, exactly. And I love that this is what I know. I wouldn't want to know anything else. It is such an honor being your guys' father, but still I just worry my comedy's becoming a little bit one note. My son goes, Dad, your comedy couldn't be one note if you tried. I said, really? He goes, yeah. Look at the premise of this joke you're telling right now. You're carrying on a long conversation with a 3-year-old. You've lost half the audience at this point. And I was like, oh, at least half. And he's like, yeah, but that half that's sticking around, they're on your every word, man. They want to know how you're going to land this plane. I was like, I don't even know if I am going to land this plane. And he's like, that's what's thrilling about it. It's risque, it's provocative, it's intellectual, it's surreal. I was like, are you kidding me? That's exactly how popular comedy blog The Laugh Button described my last album. He's like, I know, I read every word. He goes, Dad, let me ask you a question. I said, shoot, little buddy, anything. He goes, what's the meaning of life? I was like, fuck. That's heavy. And honestly, I don't know if I know. I know my trick. You want to know my trick? He goes, Dad, I'd love to know your trick. I said, you find what makes you happy in life, and you go at it with everything you got. And you don't waste your time chasing after the bad stuff in the darkness. It'll find you if it was meant to, and it will devastate you. Do not waste your time going after that. You find what makes you happy, you find the light, and you go towards it as hard as you can, and you do not let the sadness of this world outweigh the beauty that is everywhere if you just try to look for it. And my son goes, Dad, that's fucking profound. He goes, Dad, you think your average comedy bro industrial complex comedian is giving their fans anything remotely that insightful? I was like, no, I really don't at all. But I see this toxic masculinity podcast circle jerk and they're selling out theaters. And I'm like, maybe I should say something edgy, put some butts in seats. And my son's like, don't you fucking dare. Don't you fucking dare, Dad. He goes, you keep doing what you're doing. You'll sell out theaters too. And even if you don't, at least you said something interesting the entire time. And I said, son, I'm just so glad we had this talk. And he said, me too, Papa, me too. I said, you know what? You can keep your nuts on your brother's forehead for 2 more minutes. But then it's bath time, young man. I'm serious.